Braga are one of the top clubs in Portuguese football. However, despite being ever present in European competitions and winning 5 domestic cup trophies since 2013, they have never actually won the Primeira Division and have never won a major European trophy. But today, that's going to change, as we are going to jump into FC25, take control of Braga with the end goal of winning the Champions League trophy as well as the Primeira Division. And if you do enjoy the content, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel, as it does really help me out. We're trying to get 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Let's now jump into FC25 and get Braga rebuilt. So this is the Braga team we've loaded into an FC25, and although we do have some pretty good players at this club, this team is going to take a lot of work before we can get onto a Champions League final and a Primeira Division trophy. Now, the best player at the club is Ricardo Horta, who is 81 rated and 29 years old, so we do still have a good few years of use out of him as he's in his prime. And for some reason, we have got Simon Banza loaned out to Trabzonspor. He's 80 rated and 27-year-old. I can actually use this guy, as our highest rated strikers at the club currently are 68 rated, so you better believe he is getting recalled in season 1. Now, we do have goalkeeper Mateus and João Moutinho at the club, but both of them are over 30 and we probably won't have many seasons out of them. But we do have a very exciting couple of youngsters at the club in Roger Fernandes. He's 18 years old and 73 rated. He is definitely someone to build the team around. And we also have a very interesting young centre-back, Bry Mb. Looks like a very solid young defender, 21 years old and 70 rated. He could be someone who breaks into the first team in seasons to come. So we do actually start off with a pretty decent team. Do I expect us to challenge for the Primeira Division or any European trophies right now? No, there's definitely work to be done. However, that work can only begin in season number 2, as in season 1 transfers are banned, so we are stuck with the squad we've got for at least a full season. And I actually think the 4-4-1-1 formation actually is very suited to the players we've got at Braga, so we are going to stick with it for season 1. However, we are going to make some adjustments to our starting personnel. So we've had a play about with the starting 11, and this is the team we're going to head into season number 1 with. Banza and Huerta are quality players, both over 80 rated. I expect them to be our key players heading into season number 1. I'm hopeful Fernandes and Mb can have good seasons in terms of growth, and I am fairly confident this team will get us into the top 4 of Portuguese football in season 1. Our bench though definitely isn't the best. Hopefully some of these players who are not currently in the starting 11 can have good seasons in terms of growth. Now, I do think we will have one of the better squads in Portuguese football, and for that reason we are going to go with the tiki-taka tactical preset for this rebuild, as I do want to focus on possession based football. And as always, if you want to look at the player roles, feel free to pause the video. Now, as we know, in season 1 transfers are banned, and it's probably a good thing, as we've only got 16 million euros, which I don't really think would have gone a long way into improving our starting 11. Now, a couple of weeks ago in the Deportivo La Coruña rebuild, I asked you to give me suggestions on where to send my youth academy scouts, and you literally went crazy in the comments. You gave me so many suggestions, and we are going to go with Kingan4682's comment. We are going to be sending a youth scout to San Marino in this rebuild, notoriously one of the worst footballing nations in Europe. And can we actually uncover a hidden gem from this nation? I do have my doubts, boys. So given the fact that transfers are banned in season 1, I don't really think there's much more we can do. We've picked a formation, picked a starting 11. All that's really left to do is simulate forward straight through to the end of season 1, and let's get this rebuild off to a very solid start by getting into Portugal's top 4. So before we progress any further into this rebuild, you may have noticed that I have had a little bit of a mistake going on. I'm calling Liga Portugal the Primeira Division, and somewhere along the lines in my very smooth, very small brain, I've convinced myself that the Liga Portugal is called Primeira Division. Let's just pretend for this rebuild that it is called the Primeira Division. So let's get back to the rebuild, and I'll see you at the end of season 1. So we have arrived at the end of season number 1, and we have actually finished 2nd in the league, boys, meaning we have secured Champions League football for season number 2. We only lost 2 of our 34 games. That is absolutely insane. But Porto did win the league title by 10 clear points, so there is some work to be done if we're going to catch Porto. But as far as first seasons go, this has been very, very solid. In the Taça Portuguesa, we made it all the way to the final, and we lost on penalties to Benfica. Such a cruel way to lose a final, but hopefully we'll get to many more Taça Portuguesa finals throughout this rebuild. And in season 1, we was actually in the Europa League, but we only made the playoff round, where we narrowly lost to Nice 5-3 over 2 legs. So pretty disappointed with our performance in Europe, but very, very happy with how we performed in Portugal. So this is how the team is looking at the end of season number 1. Plenty of 80 rated players throughout the team. Our attack and midfield is looking pretty strong. The right side of our defence is looking pretty strong as well. but we definitely need to improve the left side of our defence, meaning a new left back and centre back need to be brought in if we are going to be ready for Champions League football. And our bench heading into season number 2 really isn't the strongest, boys. However, I can't see us having that big of a budget where we can bring rotation players in as well. All of our funds are going to be placed into getting the first team stronger. So in terms of stats, Ricardo Huerta was our best player, getting 26 goals and 15 assists, closely followed by Simon Banza, who got 23 goals and 4 assists. Really good decision to bring him back to the club. So season 1 was very successful. Let's now get into season 2 and start preparing for the Champions League. So we've arrived in season number 2 and we've only got 34 million to improve our squad. So I think the best thing we can do right now is bring in young, high potential players who can develop over a long period of time. And just to keep everyone in the loop, Joe Moutinho has retired, meaning we are lacking a bit in central midfield. So last season we did send some scouts to San Marino. These are the best 3 players that we brought to the club. Do think though we can do a little bit better than this, so this season we'll be once again sending scouts to San Marino and hopefully they can uncover a really good talent there. So for me in season number 2, it's vital that we bring a centre back through the door as main priority in this window, and Eduardo Quaresma is the top of my list, currently playing for Sporting, so bringing him in will make a direct rival worse. He's 23-year-old, 78 rated, like the look of his stats. He will be playing left centre back, but he has got 4-star weak foot, meaning he can definitely play that role. However, this signing will probably use up most of our transfer budget, as Sporting are going to look for anywhere between 20 and 25 million euros. We are going to bring him to Braga and we may have to sell some players before we can bring a left back in. And Eduardo Quaresma is the first signing of the Braga rebuild, joining for 21 million. And we have now only got 11 million in the bank, meaning we are going to have to sell a few players. And the first sale of the rebuild might come as a bit of a surprise, boys, as we have sold Bright Arayan B to Frankfurt for 9 million euros. The 22-year-old and 74 rated is definitely not a bad player. By selling him, it does recuperate quite a lot of transfer budget for us. And we have been pretty busy on the outgoings as quite a few more players have left the club. Rodrigo Macedo has left the club to Sivasspor for 1 million euros. Adrian Marin has joined Hoffenheim for 5 million euros. Yuri Ribeiro has joined Alves for 1.5 million. Jibril Soumaré has joined New York City for 1.1 million. And we have also sold a backup left back whose name I cannot pronounce for 2.8 million. And we now have a very respectable transfer budget of 26 million euros to bring in a left back. And the left back we have identified is currently playing in the Premier League, Renato Vega, currently playing for Chelsea. He's 21 years old, 76 rated. The stats look really good, and he falls well into our price range, as the max we're going to pay for him is 22.5 million. This would be a fantastic signing and we are definitely bringing him to Braga. And Renato Vega joins the club for 20 million euros, and by bringing Quaresma and Vega into the team, our back line is looking much stronger. 2 young players who have got decent potential in FC25 as well, so they could end up being endgame players for us. Do I expect us to be causing any shocks in the Champions League? Absolutely not, but I am hoping we can push Porto that little bit further this year and challenge for the league title. And now we have only got 4 million euros left in the bank, so our transfer window is definitely finished. So our transfer window is officially done, but our Champions League fixtures have been decided, and we kick off our Champions League campaign with the hardest possible game we could have asked for, as we will travel to the Bernabeu to take on Real Madrid in our first game. Honestly, boys, I am not expecting much from that game. And then it gets a lot easier as we take on Inter Milan at home in our second tie. I think this rebuild is going to be a pretty difficult one. We'll then play Apoel at home, which we have to be winning. Young Boys away, again, I think we should be winning that. Leipzig away, I think we can get a result there. Slavia Prague at home, Man City at home, and we will finish with Atletico at home. So a nice mix of very difficult ties, which I expect us to get no points from, and then there's some very winnable ties in there that we just have to win if we want to go through. We are now going to simulate forward straight through to the end of season 2. Hopefully we've pushed Porto all the way for the league title, and I would like to see us get through the league phase at least in the Champions League. So we have arrived at the end of season number 2 and we have once again finished second in the Premier Division. This time Sporting Lisbon have gone on to win the trophy despite us taking Quaresma from their hands. That does mean we have secured UCL football once again in season 3, which we love to see. And I just want to talk about Porto's drop off. They got 90 points last season, they've now only got 69. And they have actually missed out on Champions League football, which is insane. But in the Taça Portuguesa, we would reach the semi-finals, where unfortunately Benfica beat us 3-2 over 2 legs, meaning no Taça Portuguesa trophy as of yet. And lads, the less said about our performance in the Champions League, the better. Wow, we were finished 28, winning 2 games, losing 6, meaning we didn't even get to the playoff rounds. That is nowhere near good enough, and we have got to improve next season. So this is how the team is looking at the end of season number 2, and every single player besides Vega is now over 80 rated, which we love to see, boys. Starting 11 is actually very, very strong, and I'm a little bit miffed as to how we've done so poorly in the Champions League. Our best players are Banza, Huerta and Salazar, and the team on a whole does actually look really solid. We've got a nice mix of experienced and youthful players. However, going into season number 3, I think we have to bring a new left midfielder to the club to replace Bruma, as he is now 31 years old and he is now on the decline in terms of overall. So we are going to pool most of our resources into bringing a left midfielder to the club in this transfer window, and that could see all of our transfer budget gone, as I don't think we're going to get a monumental budget in season number 3. Now, in terms of stats, Ricardo Horta was our best player once again, getting 21 goals and 9 assists. He has been really solid in this rebuild. So season 2 was definitely a bit of a mixed bag. We had some positives and some negatives. Let's get into season 3 and just try to progress even further. We have arrived in season number 3, and obviously our transfer budget is only 31 million euros. For me, that probably says we're only going to be able to sign a left midfielder in this window. However, I now do have some good news. As you know, we sent our scouts to San Marino to try and bring a world-class talent to the club. Oh my god, have we done that. Michele Lombardi, 62 rated, 17 years old. He's got potential between 92 and 94. He is absolutely getting promoted to the first team. We're going to get him out on loan for the first 2 seasons, and hopefully when he comes back, he's ready to challenge for a first team place, because I am so excited about this guy. And we are also going to promote youngster Luigi Colombo to the first team as well. He's 65 rated, 17-year-old, between 75 and 81 potential, which is pretty decent. And at 65 rated, boys, I'm going to take a stab in the dark and I'm going to say he is probably San Marino's best player right now, and is actually in our youth academy. And before we bring anyone in, there has been some outgoings. 4 players have left the club. Kicking things off, third choice goalkeeper Thiago Sá has joined Estoril Praia for 870 grand. We have sold Bruma to Chelsea for 28 million euros, giving us some much needed funds to bring in a replacement for him. Youngster Nuno Matos has left the club on loan for the season, and we have loaned out our San Marino wonder kid Michele Lombardi. He has gone to Boavista for 2 seasons, and I'm hoping he can grow loads while he's there. And we have found the ideal replacement for Bruma, and that man actually plays for Chelsea, and he is Mykhailo Mudryk, currently 25 years old and 81 rated. I really like the look of his stats. 4-star, plenty of play styles, and we are going to pay anywhere between 35 and 43.9 million euros, meaning we will have a little bit of money left over after the deal, and I do think this is an upgrade on Bruma. And Mykhailo Mudryk joins Braga for just 39 million, and I think this is actually a very good deal. And that leaves us with 12 million euros in the bank. Now, we do have a few contracts to renew. I do want to employ a few more coaches. I'm not 100% sure if there's going to be any more signings in this window. So there's going to be no further incomings in this transfer window, boys. I just feel like with just 12 million in the bank, we're not going to bring anyone in who gets into this team. And that means this will be the team that takes us into season 3. Very strong on paper, I must add. Growing all over the pitch. We've got a couple of world-class players in there as well now. I genuinely think we are going to be 10 times better this season in the Champions League, or at least I bloody hope so, because I do not want to get knocked out in the league phase again. And speaking of the Champions League, let's go and check out our fixtures. So kicking off our Champions League fixtures, we will play at home to Ajax, which I think is a very winnable game. We will then travel to Holland to take on PSV, which again I think we can win. We will then play Bodo Glimt at home, which we have to be winning. Man City away, bit of a write-off. Stade Rennais away, another game we should be winning. Red Bull Leipzig away once again. Man United at home and Liverpool at home. So we haven't got the easiest of fixtures. I would like to see us get through the league phase this season, so we have to beat the teams who are around a similar level to us. So let's now simulate forward straight through to the end of season 3, and I just want to see an improvement on last season in the Champions League, and maybe this is the year we can clinch the Premier Division title. So we have arrived at the end of season number 3, boys, and we have become a bit of a specialist in finishing second, as that is what we have done once again. But this time we were just 1 point behind Sporting Lisbon with a better goal difference. Literally 1 point away from winning the Premier Division. That does show we're making progress. We were the league's top scorers. There are positive signs, and hopefully in season 4 we can finally get our hands on that league trophy. Taca Portuguesa though, wow, what an embarrassment. We got to the quarterfinals where a team I've never even heard of have beat us 2-1 and knocked us out. That is a massive shock. And in the Champions League this time we did make the round of 16, so we are making progress, but we were knocked out by Liverpool 4-3 over 2 legs. Pushed an amazing side all the way, and that just shows we are heading in the right direction. So this is how the Braga team is looking at the end of season number 3, and it is a very, very strong team on paper. It cannot be denied. However, we do now have a bit of an issue. Banza, the 2 Horters, and Mateus are 4 of the best players at the football club. Banza is 30, Horter at attacking midfield is 34, Horter in midfield is 30, and Mateus is 34 as well. That is the spine of our team now, reaching years where they're not really going to grow much more. And I think over the next 2 seasons, we do need to start replacing these players, because I don't think they're going to get much better at their respective ages. So heading into season 4, our goal will be to bring in a goalkeeper and central midfielder, but we do face a bit of a problem. We have been consistently getting 30 million euros to improve the squad. It's just not enough. We may have to sell Mateus and Horta and sign players who aren't quite as high rated but have much better potential, and hopefully this won't impact our results too much. Now, in terms of stats, Ricardo Horta was our best player, getting 35 goals and 23 assists. That is an absolutely insane return, and one of the reasons why we're not looking to replace him this season. And Simon Banza was insane as well, 34 goals and 10 assists. And it is nice to see that Michele Lombardi, our San Marino wonder kid, got 6 goals and 6 assists for Boavista and has grown to 74 rated. I'm very excited to see how he looks when he comes back to us when his loan expires. So we are making steady progression on the pitch. We got further in the Champions League and we were 1 point away from winning the Primera Division. Let's now get into season number 4, get a goalkeeper and centre midfielder in, and just see where the wind takes us. So we have arrived in season number 4, and we do have a slightly bigger transfer budget of 48 million euros. I don't think this money is going to sufficiently bring us in a goalkeeper and central midfielder, so we may have to look to sell a few players. So kicking off our transfer window, we've actually got 3 outgoings to bring you. Kicking things off, Vitor Carvalho has joined Girona for 9 million euros. We then sold goalkeeper Mateus to Juventus for 19 million euros, and we got an absolutely insane deal for Angelo Horta, who has joined Inter Milan for 60 million euros. And we now have 123 million in the bank, bringing a goalkeeper and central midfielder. But I feel the most important signing we're going to make in this transfer window is the replacement goalkeeper, and we have actually lined up Philip Jorgensen, who is currently playing for Chelsea. He's 25-year-old, 84 rated, got amazing stats. His contract is expiring in 11 months time, meaning we can get him on the cheap, anywhere between 39 and 49 million. This would be an excellent signing. 9 years younger than Mateus and the same overall. Let's get him through the door. And Jorgensen joins the club for 43 million, which is an outstanding deal. And we are now left with a very healthy 79 million euros to bring in a central midfielder. And our hunt for a central midfielder has brought us to Mateus Fernandez, who is currently playing for Osasuna. He's 23-year-old, 82 rated, 4-star, 4-star, plenty of play styles, pretty decent stats, got very, very good potential in FC25, but he has just signed for Osasuna, so the price is slightly elevated. We're going to be paying anywhere between 50 and 62 million, so we can definitely afford him. But I really, really want to use Fernandez in a rebuild, and I feel like Braga is the perfect one for him. And we have confirmed the signing of Mateus Fernandez for 53 million euros, and this is a very good signing. And after signing Mateus Fernandez, I felt like we could do with a backup central midfielder as well. Therefore, we have gone out and brought Mateus Nunes to the club for 23 million euros, signing from Fenerbahce. He's 80 rated, 29-year-old, decent stats, will provide very, very healthy cover from the bench. However, after signing Mateus Nunes, we have literally got 31 euros in our bank account, so it's safe to say there'll be no more business taking place in season 4. And after bringing Jorgensen and Fernandez into the starting 11, this will be the team that takes us into season number 4. We've got a very, very strong team on paper. I am hoping that Banza and Horta don't drop any overalls this season, as they are aging. Zalazar's looking amazing. He should reach 90 rated this season. I just want to see us get that little bit further in the Champions League, maybe the quarterfinals. I'd be so happy with that, and I want to be winning the Primera Division this time round, boys. And this season we do have a stronger bench, so we do have options if we want to switch things up. And with our transfer window being closed, all that is now left to do is check our Champions League fixtures. And kicking off our Champions League campaign, we will travel to France to take on Monaco, and then we will play host to a French side in our second game as Marseille travel to Braga. We'll then travel to Crystal Palace. That is a very peculiar one. Ajax away, another pretty decent tie. Atletico Madrid at home. We'll then take on Stade de Reims at home, Bayer Leverkusen away, and Club Bruges to round things off. I don't think we've got actually the hardest fixtures on paper, and I'm really hoping we can at least get to the quarterfinals in the Champions League this season. There's only one way to find out if we do that, and that is by simulating forward straight through to the end of season number 4. Lads, something has happened this season that has never happened before in the entire time I've been on YouTube. Not only have we won the Liga Portugal, we have done it by going invincible, lads. Didn't lose a single game all season. 27 wins, 7 draws, only 26 goals conceded, 88 points accumulated, and Braga are not only Premier Division champions, we are actually invincibles. And we did not lose one single game in Portugal this season, as we have also won the Taça Portuguesa, beating Benfica 3-1 in the final, completing a domestic double. But unfortunately, we could not make the Champions League final. We did make the quarterfinals, which I wanted us to do, where we got beat 4-2 over 2 legs by Barcelona. And all we need to do now to complete this rebuild is win the Champions League. So this is how the team is looking at the end of season number 4, and Salazar becomes our first 90 rated player. Now, if you remember last season, our plans were to get rid of everyone over 30, but Horta and Banza have just continued to grow. They are both now 88 rated. Banza is 31, Horta is 33. I'm just in two minds. What do I do? When do they start declining? Horta could literally start declining at any minute, and I am worried that if we don't swap these players out for younger players, there's a chance they could start decreasing in overall when we're going for the Champions League trophy, which I do not want to see. And looking at both players' development plans, it does look like they're going to start leveling down in terms of overall, as Banza will soon drop an overall in just 28 weeks, and Horta is already going to start leveling down in the next couple of weeks. So I think that has made my mind for me. I know they've been amazing, but we're probably going to have to bring in replacements in season number 5. And it is a shame because their output is absolutely insane. Banza got 37 goals and 5 assists, and Ricardo Horta got 22 goals and 22 assists. That is absolutely insane. I just wish they were a couple of years younger. But what I am interested about is Michel Lombardi actually got 10 goals and 3 assists. He's 79 rated and 19-year-old. He will actually have a big part to play here at Braga next season. And I know Mudryk is 84 rated, but I really want to get a San Marino international player into our team. But there is a chance that I may even be tempted to start Lombardi at left wing. So season 4 was one of the most successful seasons we have ever had on the channel. We're now getting into season 5, and this is where the real hard work begins, going for that Champions League trophy. So we have arrived in season 5 and we've only got 57 million euros. And after doing a little bit of thinking off camera, we are actually going to give Simon Banza another season at the club, as at 31-year-old, he may only drop by 1 or 2 overalls this season, and we obviously can't afford to replace our striker and centre attacking midfielder. But that does mean that Ricardo Horta's time as the first choice centre attacking midfielder Braga is over. He's already dropped to 87 rated, he's on the way down. So that means we will be looking to sell Ricardo Horta in this transfer window, and we are going to replace him with a new centre attacking midfielder who's younger, but they need to be a similar skill level. And Lombardi has returned to the club at 80 rated and 19-year-old, has potential to be special, and we are going to be making a very, very big decision in this transfer window, and that decision is Lombardi is going straight into our starting lineup and Mudryk is dropping to the bench. There is absolutely no way I have got the greatest ever prospect from San Marino, and probably the greatest ever player come from San Marino, in my squad, and I am not putting him in the starting 11. And it is a very sad day for Braga Football Club, as Ricardo Horta has left for Barcelona for 90.5 million euros. What a player this man has been for the club. He goes with our best wishes, and he will go and finish off the rest of his career in sunny Spain with Barcelona. But putting sentiment to one side, we have now got 138 million euros to bring in a suitable replacement, which we're definitely going to do. So one Portuguese superstar leaves the club. We are now going to bring another Portuguese superstar to the club in João Felix of Chelsea. He's 86 rated, 28-year-old, stats look insane, plenty of play styles, 5-star skill moves. Boys, can I just point out, I'm not doing it on purpose, by the way. way. Players I wanted to sign just so happened to play for Chelsea. And given the fact the max we're going to pay for Felix is 87.5 million, we'll actually still have around 40 million left, and then we can use that money to improve our bench. And Joe Felix is heading back to his home country for 79 million euros. And this does leave us with 52 million left in the bank. And last season we invested money into our bench, bringing in a central midfielder. Looking at that bench, I do think we need a suitable backup striker for Banza. So next on the cards is a suitable backup striker, and we are going to use our remaining transfer budget to bring in an absolutely excellent backup striker in Yusuf Chermiti, who is currently playing for Everton. He's 24-year-old, he's 82 rated, he has got nice stats, but he falls well into our price range. Anywhere between 37 and 46 million euros is the asking price, and I feel he will be a perfect backup striker. And Chermiti signs for 40 million, and that is our backup striker sorted, leaving us with 12 million in the bank, meaning our transfer window is now closed. So no further business has taken place in this transfer window, boys. We are shut for business. Our Champions League fixtures have been drawn, and we start off with a home tie against Bayer Leverkusen. Very difficult tie. We will then play at home to Manchester City. It really gets no easier. And then we're travelling to AC Milan. Come on, man. We're then travelling to Leipzig. We've got Lyon at home, Basel at home, Sparta Prague away, and we will round things off with an away tie to Sevilla. So our Champions League fixtures this season very difficult. We have to be at our best. I want us to get past the quarter-final stages this time. There's only one way to find out if we do that, and that's by simulating forward straight through to the end of the season. So we've arrived at the end of season number 5, and we are now starting to dominate Portuguese football as we have won back-to-back Premier Division titles. We did lose 4 games this season, so we couldn't go back-to-back Invincible seasons, but we finished on 82 points, 10 points clear of Benfica, and that's another very impressive league campaign. However, Benfica would get their own back on us as they beat us in the Portuguese final on penalties, and I think the little fact that we are actually in the Champions League final definitely eases the pain of the Taka Portuguese loss a bit. We'll be taking on Borussia Dortmund. In the league phase, we did finish 9th, and that means we entered the playoff rounds, where we would absolutely bounce Liverpool 8-1 over 2 legs. That is insane. We would then go on to take on Manchester City, and despite losing the second leg 3-1, our work in the first leg meant we won the tie 4-3, where we would narrowly beat AC Milan 3-2 over 2 legs coming from behind in the second leg, and we would have a very tight semi-final with Real Madrid, a 0-0 draw in the second leg, but a 3-2 win in the first leg sees us get to the final. And this is the Braga team that has got us to a Champions League final, and it is looking very, very strong. Gomez and Salazar are both 90+ rated, with Banza and Fernandez at 89 rated, not far behind. Lombardi's had a great season on that left wing, growing to 84 rated. Squad looks very strong. We've got no weaknesses at all in that starting 11, and heading into the final, we do actually have a very strong bench of players like Mudryk, Chermiti and Nunes all ready to come on and make a difference. So in terms of stats, Simon Banza was insane, boys. He got 40 goals and 9 assists. I'm really glad we didn't replace him. But Joe Felix, wow, this man did the business for us this season. 34 goals and 14 assists in all competitions. And we will now head to the Champions League final, where we will take on Borussia Dortmund for a chance to lift Champions League glory. So very interestingly, lads, we are actually playing the Champions League final at Schalke's stadium, and they just so happen to be one of Borussia Dortmund's biggest rivals, so hopefully we can inflict some serious punishment. They've got Luis Guilherme, who's a player I really do want to use in this game soon. Banza passes on to Fernandez. Oh, he's onside, boys. We could have an early lead. Fernandez, it's 1-0 to Braga in the 12th minute, boys. What a move that was. Our first chance of the game, and it's Roger Fernandez who gives us the lead. What a pass that is from Banza. Puts Fernandez in one-on-one, uses great strength to shrug off the defender, and plants the ball in the top corner. 12 minutes into the Champions League final, the first shot of the game, we are 1-0 up. And that's Gyökeres. Nope. What a block by Niakate. What a block. Oh, we're running on the wing here. Oh, no, Gyökeres. Oh, what a save. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Remind me to never sign Victor Gyökeres in FC25. What were that? 3 shots in literally the same motion. Can't even put it in the back of the net. That was absolutely shocking. I cannot lie. Half-time can't come quick enough for us, boys. Run the cosh a little bit. It is half-time. We are 1-0 up, but we are starting to really ride our luck in this final. And if Borussia Dortmund could finish their dinner, they would definitely be in front. The second half is just starting off how the first one ended. It's all Dortmund. That's going to be the keeper's ball. Do you know what, boys? I think Lombardi has been very ineffective. We are actually going to bring Mykhailo Mudryk on. He's dropped a very San Marino-esque performance in this final, Lombardi. Maybe not quite ready Oh, it's blocked and it's into Jorgensen's hands, lads. I can't lie, in this final, we have seriously roared our luck. No, no, no. Oh my God, good save by Jorgensen. And there's Banza. Oh, that's brilliant. Come on. Let's seal the final. Let's seal it. Banza. Put it back. Get it in there, boys. We've won it. We do not deserve to be 2-0 up in this final. That is an absolute fact, but we are. Nice play by Banza. Just turns the defender, rolls it to the penalty spot. Felix puts it in the net. This has been a hard final. We've really grafted for this trophy, and we can finally now relax, knowing it's won. I think as soon as Gyökeres has had 6 shots in this final and cannot score. But there is the full-time whistle, boys. We have won the Champions League trophy with Braga. We've beat Dortmund 2-0. We've seriously rolled our luck, but who cares? We are the champions of Europe, and all that is now left to do, boys, is lift the Champions League trophy with Braga. It's Niakate who will do the honours as the club captain, and Braga are now the champions of Europe, and that is another rebuild successfully boxed off. So I just want to say a massive thank you for watching the video, boys. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you click that subscribe button and like the video, as it does help me out, and I will see you next week when we head back to England and back to League One.